do that because of just the times that it was in. And it's funny because you think, I went to high school and I graduated in 2015. It was 2015.
Yeah.
And we were still doing that.
Well, I mean,
just
it's
because
still,
that's the culture.
Yeah, it's still like, I graduated in 2014. And like...
I always forget that you graduated before me.
Our town was very much, it was just white people and black people. And that's how our high school was. We had one Asian guy.
And Jerry Woo.
Jerry Woo.
Shout out to
We
Jerry
had
Woo.
one Asian guy, and that was the only other minority that we had. And, like, for the most part, like, white people and black people did not, like, mingle. Like, it was very split. Somehow, like, I got stuck with the white people.
I mean,
it's because you're white.
I was never, I always hung out with everyone, man.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that kind of floated, but there were never, like, big groups of white and black people interacting with each other.
It's like that in big cities, too. I've never asked you this, Gabe, but if you've never really heard of Pulaski, I'd implore you to Google it and figure out some history.
But KKK.
But Gabe, did you ever experience a lot of crap in Pulaski? Or was it
you told me once about a teacher.
I've always compared it to like Germany with Nazism. Like if someone brings it up, you're like, shut the hell up.
Well, the thing about Pulaski is like it's not like Pulaski still embraces that side of things, but it's still very much a thing. Like, they still do rallies at the courtyard, on the courthouse.
The KKK in Pulaski didn't start as a racist.
Yeah.
It was white beaters, actually.
It just turned into that.
Yeah, it just turned into that. But they're still, they still meet. They still do, parades and shit. There's a plaque on the courthouse lawn for the KKK.
I was straight watching a BuzzFeed video, and there was a screenshot of a KKK member in front of Furniture World, bro. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, too, where it's like... In where I'm from too, I mean, there was a big chapter of the KKK, and one of my friends' dads was a Grand Wizard. Also, let's call the KKK out for a second because they call themselves Grand Wizards and stuff. You're not. Is this a D&D? Is this a D&D?
I feel like minus context, I'd be a Grand Wizard.
Yeah.
That's a cool title.
Yeah, can I be a Grand Wizard too? And you're like, but it's for the KKK. I'm like, oh shit.
I'll take it.
No. It's like I heard Grand Wizard and I was all about it. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's funny to me because it's that kid. I don't know. His dad was a Grand Wizard and he hung out with all everybody. It's such a backwards thing, and that's why I think it's funny to talk about how hospitable Southern people are, but then your dad is the leader of the chapter of the KKK.
Well, it's very interesting. I can't really speak to that side of things because my entire life in Pulaski was being cool with the white kids. That was my group, and so I never really experienced racism in Pulaski. Just the worst thing that I had to deal with was white girls not dating me because their dad wouldn't be cool with them dating a black guy.
That's everywhere though.
But you still hooked up with him though.
Because they were so rebellious. They were like, oh, my daddy's not gonna like this. It makes it 10 times harder.
I have to live in Pulaski because all of the tailgaters is gonna want
Listen,
to piss their dads off.
I have the best story about this, man. So, I come from a family, and my family is very intelligent, very respectable, but it's me and my little brother, and we're the only two offspring of my family. And I probably started dating my girlfriend around 2 or 3 years ago, and my girlfriend's Asian. Okay, so there's not a lot of Asian people in Pulaski. Yeah. We've pretty much already established this. So my parents didn't have a lot of experience with Asian people and stuff like that. So I started bringing my Asian girlfriend around, and they love her to death. She is the best girl ever. To them, they're like, oh my God, she's the best thing in the world. My little brother, this was probably about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, something like that.
My little brother hooked up with this black girl.
Yeah.
And was about to start dating this black girl.
Shout out to Simone one time.
Yeah.
Wait, I know who you're talking about.
She,
She's a good girl.
my little brother's about to start dating this black girl, and my parents, my dad was actually a lot really accepting of it because he had already seen what me and my girlfriend had done.
Yeah.
As far as transcending race and everything, because honestly, when you talk about interracial relationships and stuff, I don't ever think, oh, I'm in a interracial relationship. I never think about it really.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, it's not a thing that's really brought up. One time, my girlfriend, she was in she's an orientation leader at UAH, and they had this bonding moment where they were like, all right, step forward if you're blank or if you're whatever, and their orientation, the person that was over it was like, step forward if you're in an interracial relationship, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I am. So she stepped forward, but she never thinks about it either.
Yeah.
But my little brother, when he started talking to this black girl, my mom is a social worker, and she deals with all types of people in all types of situations, and she sees a lot of what comes from our small town. She's not racist by any bit, I guarantee you that, but she sees how hard it is out there for people in our region that are in interracial relationships, and how much people just look down on them and are like, why are you doing this? That she didn't want my little brother to go through this.
Yeah.
And he cut it off on his own whim, not because of her, but even if it's when we go to family reunions and stuff, and my grandparents are old style people, and I brought my Asian girlfriend to my grandparents before, and they have said they don't really say anything about it.
Yeah.
A little bit comes up, but not that much. But if I had brought a black girl, it would have been a totally different situation. And I think it's very sad. I don't really know where I'm going with this. I really just wanted to share.
Well, I have a story actually. I'm thinking the one time that I have ever experienced anything in Pulaski, I was with a girl. She was white. Shout out to Kimberly Anderson.
Oh my god.
Dude.
You guys use last names too much in this podcast.
To be fair, Gabe says last name too much on this podcast.
Yeah.
That is true. He's the one.
I love calling motherfuckers out.
Dang it, Gabe.
I've listened to all of y'all's podcasts, and Gabe seriously puts way too much information into this.
I love putting motherfuckers on blast real quick.
If y'all ever become really famous, look, y'all are gonna have some hardcore fans coming in, and they're gonna go back and listen to all y'all's first shit, and they're gonna start looking up all these people, putting them on blast for shit that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah, my 8th grade girlfriend is gonna be getting hate mail.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Gabe, not me. I think she's great. But she's
on the after the Exes episode, my ex texted me and she's like, "Yo, I wish you wouldn't have said my name on the podcast." But fuck it, I don't give a fuck. All right, but so back in middle school, early high school, the thing was you and your girlfriend go to Exchange Park and just watching baseball. So we're hanging out, just eating some popcorn, watching some baseball, and we're kind of walking around.
This sounds like great foreplay.
It's a great time. And so this old
America's
lady
favorite pastime
walks up to us, and she's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Are you serious?
And we're like, yeah. So we're like, what are you talking about? We're just hanging out. And she's like, this is disgusting.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I swear to God. And she was like, do your parents know that this is happening? And we were like, what do you, still having no clue what they're talking about. She's like,
not putting two and two together.
Yeah, not figuring out. And she's like, do your parents know that you're together? And we were like, whoa, what the? Yes, they absolutely know. What the fuck? And she's like, well, this is disgusting, and I would never let my children do this. And we just sat there afterwards and we're like, holy shit, that just happened.
You
what
also
do we
have
do?
You have to look at change and how long it takes.
Yeah.
Based on generations, what generations are told is okay as they're growing up. and people adjusting to that. Like, everyone in this room, I feel like, is 1,000% okay. But, like, 50 years, 80 years behind us, they were told it's not okay.
Yeah.
They were told that is a problem and you should avoid it.
And I mean, like, this is not me, like, speaking for them, but, like, I get it. Like, I get why that is a mindset, because, like, when you were growing up, that's where things were, you know?
Yeah.
But also, like, at that point, it was, like, 2012.
Yeah.
Like, it's too late to say shit like that.
I think it's funny, though, because you have to be careful, and, of course, whenever I talk about race and stuff, it's kind of hard to speak to because, like, yes, I'm white, but I think that the dangerous mindset, a dangerous mindset to have is assuming that it is going to die with people just because they're older.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that, because if that was the case, you'd be like, all the people that were around World War II would have been like, oh, that's fucked up, and then they die.
Yeah.
Or, like, that's kind of the mentality. Like, the generation that saw the civil rights movement, for the most part, is on its way out the door.
Yeah.
And to assume that it's going to go away just because they're going to die, I think that's.
Well, it's the whole thing.
It's just one of those things you have to be cautious of.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Is like, yes, they grew up with that, but also like still have that mindset, and they passed that down.
Yeah.
So like, it's not a thing. It's like it's just going to disappear. It's kind of one of those things. It's like we got to work on that.
It's how you teach your offspring.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the funniest things that I heard growing up was always this, and every time anybody would say it, I was like, "Well, you're about to say something really fucking racist," because they'd be like, "I'm not racist."
Yeah, and then you go,
and then they say some shit.
Go ahead and say what you're gonna say, but I'm already not listening. It's the thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I like how we ended up talking about.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Well, we're still
small
talking
town
about
USA.
small towns, but we're like in small towns, you generally only have like one type of people.
Yeah.
And I think race is where it goes usually.
Yeah. Well, because that's the big thing.
We've talked about all the bad stuff about small town USA. But then again, I think it was episode 8 or 9 that Gabe and Parker talked about.
Oh shit, Bryce listens to the podcast.
Oh, what?
Whoa. I don't even remember episode 8 or 9.
Give me an MLA citation, bitch.
I bet.
MLA
So, like,
format, please.
they were talking about, Gabe started talking about how his favorite summer he'd ever had was working on a small farm.
Yeah.
And
that was the Dreams episode.
The bad ideas episode.
Bad ideas.
Bad ideas.
It goes to say that, like, yes, small town USA has its problems. But me personally, I grew up in a small town. When I end up with my dream house at the end of my life, I hope to have a house in the middle of nowhere with some cattle and some field that I can just work on for no reason.
Well, I want to tend my field.
Exactly. Because, like, it's also peaceful. Like, there's these problems we have, but there's also this other side to look at to where those problems are there, but we can address it.
Well, the important thing to say is, like, yes, we see these problems, but, like, at the end of the day, we have to say, like, this is what we came from, and this is, like, what molded us as people. Like, I would not be the same person if I grew up anywhere else.
Yeah.
But, like, I owe it to good old Pulaski, Tennessee.
I mean, I low-key like Pulaski.
Yeah, and, like
ain't shit to do, but
yeah,
I mean, there's good people
but, like,
there.
If I had not been,
if
I had not been in Pulaski, like, I would not have you guys. I would not, like, have made it to this point. Like, I would be in a very different
Pulaski's
fuck you, bitch.
Sweetie pie.
Pulaski's growing, man. They tore down like 3 not historical, but really old buildings, and they're just building a lot of shit. Factory work there because like everyone's dumb.
Hey,
Factory work there is like going.
But all that shit to say,
going up.
We're running up. This is a long episode, and
we got you ready.
Yeah, we do. We got a big event to go to,
I'm
boys. We
hungry.
got to get ready.
Fuck.
We can grab some food. So let's do a good old outro. Thank you for listening to the Sad Boys podcast. Shout out one time to our guests. Thank you guys for
Sound off one more time. Plug some shit.
Yeah. Tell us where we can find you.
Listen, you can find me at austinlmartin.com. That honestly just links straight to my LinkedIn.